Alright, so this is the reassembly video of an autococker. So you can see here's the body. I'm just starting with just the body. There's no internals in it, nothing attached to the body that isn't just one solid piece of aluminum. Except for the feed neck. The feed neck can twist off, but there's no need to take that off. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is to take the front block. This piece right here, this is the piece that your pneumatics go onto, and it screws onto the front of the body. That's why it's called the front block. You also have a back block that goes on the back of the body, and that's what catches the bolt and cocking rod and all that. So first I'm going to take one of these 2x O-rings. You see there's a groove right here. You might be able to see the reflection there. Okay, it's going to sit right there. Let's put a little bit of dowel 33 on it. I'm going to put the banjo nut. You see here's a banjo nut. It's hollow and it has these cross cuts in it. These little cross holes. What that's for is so that the air from the valve chamber can go through the banjo nut, out these holes, and it'll go into the what's it here? The LPR hole right here. That way your LPR can get air and feed the rest of the pneumatics. So that's just gonna punch right in. Okay, you got a same O-ring on the back of it, and there's also another groove on the back of that front block. So I'm just gonna set that right in there. Little dowel 33. Okay. I'm gonna drop it on there. I'm just gonna spin it just a little bit just to keep it going. Okay, now that I got that started, we'll take the 3/16 Allen key, start screwing this down. I'm keeping the front block in line with the body, that way I don't scratch it, because it does have these little lips. You see right here, right there, and one on the other side. That's what catches the body. See, they're a little taller than the rest of the front block, and it catches the body, that way it doesn't spin. If you tighten down the front block and it's sponged a little bit, it'll eventually align itself unless it's just spun on, a whole 90 degrees, but you'll probably get a scratch right there. So I'm just going to try to avoid the scratches. Once those lips catch, I'm going to tighten it down pretty good and snug. You don't want really any wobble in your front block. So now that that's done, let's put the internals in it. The first part of your internals is the valve spring, and then the cup seal, the valve body. You got the hammer, the main spring, the IVG, and the cocking rod. So I'm going to drop the valve spring in there, just shake it down. It'll align itself. The cup seal goes into the valve body, just like so. Oh, I actually forgot the jam nut. Where have I put that? The jam nut goes in between the valve body and the hammer. It's going to fit right up there. To put this back in, to take it apart and put it back in, you have to have a valve tool. So here's what that is. Since the spring's already in there, I'm just going to drop it right in. Wiggle it into place, and then screw it in. Okay, I'm going to take an Allen key, put that in there just so I can keep it aligned as I tighten it down. We'll just snug it down. Okay. Most valves, you don't have to use that little Allen key trick. You can just slide it in, put this screw right here. This is the valve retaining screw. And you can just put that in and snug it down just a little bit. Tighten up the jam nut, back it out, make sure it's aligned, and then tighten it all the way down. But since the valve, as you saw, had that ring around it, I couldn't do that. So that's why I used the Allen key. So now the valve's in place. Let me go ahead and get this off. I just wanted to keep that together so you can see how it looks. I found it's easy to put the cocking rod in the ram. In the hammer. That way you can just kind of control it. You don't have to just drop it in there. You want to put the part with the lug down. You see on the other side, there's your screw. So the lug part's going to go down towards the bottom of the body. Drop that in. Allen key. There's a hole right here on the top of the body. That's where your Allen key is going to go through. The older autocockers, the really old ones, don't have those. I think those are around, 97, 98 whenever they implemented the, sorry, that's the wrong one. Whenever they implemented the standardized hole right here because people just found it easy that they were drilling their bodies to have that hole. Otherwise, it was just a pain to install and take apart the lower tube. Okay, so now I got the lug just kind of in there. I'm not really worried about how far in there or low it's in there because that comes with timing and tuning the autococker, and we'll do that later. The main spring goes right behind it. The IVG goes right behind that. Let's just screw that in with my hand. Then your 3/16 Allen key. The IVG is how you adjust your velocity. What you have to do is you have to sweet spot the reg and then adjust your velocity. After you sweet spot your reg, you have to change your mainspring out to make sure it's the right stiffness, and then your IVG is how you adjust the you fine tune your velocity at the field. So there's that. Let's go ahead and put the front block together. I'm going to take a little bit of blue Loctite. See, it's in a red bottle. It says blue Loctite. This is the removable stuff. The red Loctite is designed to not be removable. Well, you can remove it, but it takes a lot more effort. It's designed for engine parts, so it's much more heat resistant and all in all just a general pain in the ass to work with. Blue Loctite will seal up just as good as red Loctite, and it'll actually come apart whenever you want it to. So I'm just gonna see here. I'm just turning this LPR around until the bar fitting hole kind of lines up. I want it to be a little catty corner. I'm not going to go into much detail with that. I have a video of how to set up a front block perfectly with much more details. You can watch that if you really need to know, but I'm just going to kind of go through this quickly. Alright. Put the three-way on. Alright, so it's going to line up just like that. Then we're going to drop our bar fittings on that. Just a dab of blue Loctite. If you have Loctite coming over the threads as you screw in the screw or bar fitting, whatever you're tightening down, it means you're using too much. Here I have a socket. This is the 3/16 socket. With an extension is just there to make it easy. I have this little hand adjustment socket. That's so I don't over tighten anything. You can use, not socket, wrench. You can use a regular wrench, but this just makes it a little easier. There's no point in over tightening the barbs. Okay, you just want just a little snug. You definitely don't want to be breaking off your barbs. If you're using CCM. If you're working on a CCM gun or a Works gun, Works had CCM mill their stuff, so that's why they're kind of interchangeable with each other. The barb fittings are very, very, very brittle and easy to break off, so you want to be very careful when working with those. Just trying to hand tighten this back in. There we go. Just try to thread it just a little bit. I'm going to do this one sideways, that way you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. Last one. The technical name for the three-way is actually a four-way valve assembly, but since it has three hoses coming out of it, it's called three-way, and since it has three hoses, it needs three barb fittings. So we're working on the third one right here. Okay. Go ahead and drop the LPR barb in place. Can't tell if that's in line or not. Feels like it's going in there, but I'm going to tighten it down just a little bit. I want to make sure I'm not stripping anything. Yeah, that's it. It's just the threads are a little clogged. Okay, snug that down. And we're going to put the RAM in place. First, I'm going to